All right, let's just say it. The Cubs are broken. I'm filming this video Friday, June 19th, and as of today, the Cubs are 39 and 36, which puts them tied for the last wild card spot with the Washington Nationals. And overall, offensively, we're just slightly above average. We've scored 344 runs, which is also behind the Washington Nationals, which, hey, they're leading the majors right now. So I guess that's not terrible, but we're also behind the Pirates, the Twins, the Orioles, the Athletics, and the White Sox. And if you would have told me this at the beginning of the season, I would have said, well, okay, the offense is underperforming slightly. That's not terrible, but I'm sure our starting pitching is picking up the slack, especially with the additions and changes we've made. Cade Horton having a full year. We bring in Cabrera, and we all know how that turned out. All right, so we can't rely on starting pitching to save us, at least not right now. And if we're going to turn things around, we got to turn things around offensively. So what is wrong with the Cubs offense? Why are so many guys struggling, especially our highest paid guys? Now, I can't provide an answer on the macro level. I can't just tell the Cubs to be like, hey, push this button and everything will be fixed, because if it was that easy, they would do it. But what I can do is look at the micro level on some of our hitters, especially the higher paid ones, and try and look under the hood and figure out what's going on. All right, let's start with the $175 million man, Alex Bregman. First impression, it seems Bregman's problem is he's not hitting the ball hard, nor is he finding his sweet spot in his swing. He's not chasing, he's not striking out, and he does square the ball up appropriately. So you'd think, okay, just let's get him to hit the ball harder, but that's not the full story, because if you look at his 2025 numbers and his 2024 numbers, this is kind of his profile. So what's different about this year where he's not getting the results, whereas the past few years he still managed to be a guy who could hit 25 home runs and drive in RBIs? A few things do stand out to me compared to last year, like his barrel percentage has gone from 6.6 to 5, and his hard hit percentage has gone from 44.4 last year to 38.3 this year. But things start to become even more clear when you look at the types of pitches he is getting. If you look at this graph, you can see that from 2024 to now, Bregman is seeing a lot less fastballs. I mean, this dip is like a roller coaster. And then inversely, I don't know. From 2024 to now, he is seeing a lot more breaking balls. So why is he getting less fastballs and more breaking balls? Well, as you can see, Bregman is hitting 304 on fastballs and only 155 on breaking balls. Compared to last year, he hit 283 on fastballs and 212 on breaking balls. So all of the teams we're facing just looked at the trends from last year and said, hey, let's just throw him more breaking balls and see if he can adjust. And he hasn't. So this kind of explains his increase in weak contact and his inability to square up the baseball. Bregman's weak contact percentage has gone from 2.2 last year to 6.3. So I think what's happening is he's getting so many breaking balls that it's throwing off his timing, because even when he gets into counts where you would think he would sell out on the fastball, he's still got the breaking ball in the back of his head, which makes him way off on the fastball. And something similar is happening to Dansby. Now, look, we all know Dansby's never going to be a guy who hits for 300. I think Jed Hoyer knew this even when he gave him that 7-year contract. But what Swanson can do is play defense, and he can hit home runs. And he's playing defense. He's just not doing the other thing. Look, Swanson's hard hit percentage went from 47.8 last year to 39.2. And his barrel percentage went from 11.7 last year to 6.5. And you see the same thing. He's getting less fastballs and more breaking balls. And he's not adjusting. Unlike Bregman, his weak contact percentage is not going up, but his barrel percentage is going down. And I think it's the same thing. His timing is way off. He's seeing more breaking balls and he's chasing them, and his timing is off on the fastball. I think what they should be doing is, if they get in any type of count that a fastball could happen, and I know there's no such thing as a fastball count anymore. I get that. But when they're ahead in the count and there's a better chance they get a fastball, they should be selling out on the fastball. They're almost too patient. It's like they're getting more breaking balls and they're trying to lay off the breaking ball so much that they're missing the fastball. Like, I don't know about you, but I have seen so many games, so many plate appearances where Swanson gets up there and he gets a 95-mile-per-hour fastball right down the middle and just fouls it straight back, because I think in his head, he's still expecting the curveball. And I think these guys just need to focus on a zone in the plate that they like and just sell out on the fastball. At least for now. I mean, try that. But that is really where things are going wrong. They're just not making that adjustment. And until they make that adjustment, teams are going to keep just throwing them curveball after curveball after curveball because they know they can't hit it. So you could sit here and say, well, how was Jed Hoyer really going to know Bregman couldn't make these adjustments? Or how was he supposed to know this would happen to Swanson? Like, you want them to keep spending money, right? You don't want them to not sign guys to big contracts. And again, that's not what I want. I want them to keep being aggressive with their money, but I want them to be smart about it, because if you look at Bregman's numbers, you can see this trend starting all the way back in 2024, where he was unable to hit the curveball and teams were starting to throw more and more curveballs, and he struggled in the first half of 2024. He had moments in 2025, and it just makes you wonder, was Jed Hoyer's team unable to predict this? Was it unpredictable? Were the Cubs the only one really being aggressive with Bregman because everyone else kind of saw this trend coming? Look, I don't know, but if the Cubs are going to catch up with the Brewers, who can just develop anybody, they can draft well, they find diamonds in the rough from other organizations. If we're going to keep up, we not only have to do that, but we have to spend wisely. And if we're going to bring in guys who have trends in the wrong direction, we better be confident we can coach it out of them. I mean, look at Cabrera. I mean, really, his numbers last year, he should have had worse numbers pitching than he did. And you'd think the Cubs would have been able to fix him and make those adjustments, and they just haven't. So if you're going to go out and make big trades and spend lots of money, you better be darn confident you can fix these downward trends, and they just haven't yet. So it's frustrating right now. But, hey, the offense showed up last night against the Rockies, and maybe that will continue. But I think what this comes down to is the answers are there, or at least the problems are clearly defined. I think the hitting coaches, Bregman, Swanson, they could tell you everything I just said. They know what the problem is. They know where they're struggling. They just got to make that adjustment. And I think the same is true for the Cubs organization as a whole. They know where they've messed up in terms of their signings. They know what the problems are. They just got to make the adjustments.